off your television sets. Turn them off now. Turn them off right now. Turn them off and leave them off. Turn them off right in the middle of the sentence I'm speaking to you now. Turn them off.
Greetings, refiners. Thanks for joining us for another recap of Severance. This episode will be recapping episode 5. Episode 5, right? Episode 5.
Well, 5? Is it 5?
Or is it 4?
It's a 4.
Look, I've been having so much fun that I can't even keep up
Trojan's
with the
horse.
numbers.
We know the name.
Yeah. Did you catch what they did with the name?
I like
Explain
it.
for those out there. Yeah, explain for those out there. Trojan's horse instead of Trojan horse.
Instead of Trojan. Well, we all know what the Trojan horse was. It was Achilles, right? Wanted to get him in.
Yeah, it was to
And nobody
send
used, yeah.
someone. Yeah.
So it was used to get somebody in. So you present it as a gift, and people accept it because they think it is a gift. But what it really is somebody is coming to infiltrate your palace, your kingdom, your domain, or whatever else. Now,
Yeah.
Trojans, I'll leave that to you.
Yeah. So in this case, it's our, Helena of Troy. But yeah, obviously you see it's just two here. The OG lineup. We had to send Joe to the break room for this episode, but he will be back next week. But yeah, we just had to send him to the break room because he needs to be reset. So once
Got
he's
a
ready to
tone.
go, he'll be right back. Yes. But yeah, let's jump into general impressions. What do you think about this episode?
You are correct. It's episode 5. Like they're just going
I
by
knew it
so
was.
fast. It's
I knew it
like,
was.
yeah.
You just wanna question everything I say. I knew it was.
I have to make sure you're accurate. That's all it is.
But no, seriously, I didn't know, so I'd like had to stop saying 4 or 5. Yeah.
Yeah. General impressions it keeps giving. I am still, I think, mostly impressed by how they've put any Helly back into the fold, because I could not see a way for her to ever come back to me, because I'm like, there's no way they put her back down there. It makes no sense whatsoever. It's stupid. It's dumb. There's no way they're going to put Helly back down in there. And by forcing their hand, they made it so that she has to go back there. So I'm still, every time I watch it, I'm still stuck on the fact that I just knew that we were done. And they were like, nope, no. We got something for you. So seeing her back in there, it was really enough for me. And then we'll get to Urban, because you know how I feel about Urban.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess I want to start with like the neat use of visual cues this episode. And Ben Stiller didn't direct this episode, and I meant to grab the director's name. I will toss it in the episode description to give her props, because I definitely know it was a she. But lots of visual cues this episode to let you know the difference between Innie and Audi, or just the differences between like character development. I'm actually gonna start backwards then go forwards, because the one that's at the beginning of the episode, we could roll directly into that and talk about that. So the scene where Milkshake and Mark are in the episode, obviously this uses like kind of like a visual representation to like split the screen, which is like the line in the elevator. So you have Milkshake and Mark, and then you then see Milkshake cross the line, literally and figuratively. I thought that was cool. There's a scene where Mark is first talking to Helly, and Mark is like standing behind the wall, and he's like halfway visible. That's showing that Mark, his Innie and Audi like are starting to blur. And then there's a scene where we see like a very mysterious man like walking into it's the R&D department, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, walking into the R&D department, he's
Oh,
kind of
indeed.
like O&D, excuse
Oh,
me,
indeed.
O&D.
Oh, indeed.
Yeah, and he's kind of blurred, and I think that's a cool way to show like, okay, this person is mysterious. Are they severed? They probably aren't severed, and there's a clue to toss out there why. But that would be a great place to start. The beginning of the episode, starting with the O&D department. This guy's scrolling, like just strolling in, like whistling a song. Which, if he was severed, he probably wouldn't be whistling a song, because songs don't exist as far as you know. Yeah, so what do you think about this opening scene? Because like there are a lot of little things I think we can talk about. One in particular that might have like clues to like something to do with Mark. But yeah, like just give me your take on like this opening scene.
Now, you say he's mysterious. Is he also important? That's what
He has to
matters.
be.
Because the work is mysterious
Yeah,
and it is
and
important.
important. Yes.
The thing that stuck out to me the most from that were the dental tools, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I could remember her name. What's the lady's name from O&D? The one with the pretty hair, the black one.
I can't remember. Yeah, I was supposed to say the one with the
But
cool hair. Yeah, I can't. Yeah.
her hair is great.
Unfortunately, I cannot
But
remember her name.
she Felicia, she was there, and I don't know who the other lady was, but we've already made it. They've already established that Felicia knows what that elevator is, and
Mm-hmm.
did she say it was for exports? Is that what she said it
Mm-hmm.
was? I think that's what she said, for
Mm-hmm.
exports. So they're sending. When I hear export, of course, my mind thinks that we're moving something from this place to the next, but it wasn't to
Mm-hmm.
me just just the severed floor. I was thinking from the building. So
Mm-hmm.
they're taking something out of the building and moving it on. And as far as dental tools, my thought was dental records. And since Gemma was burned and he had to identify her body, my
Mm-hmm.
thought was, well, are they manipulating dental records so
Mm-hmm.
that it appears that this person has died? Because Mark, sure, he can identify the body, but in the real world, outside of Lumen, there are still people that exist, and somebody would have had to say, "Oh yeah, this is who this is." That's the thing that pulled out the most to me from that. I didn't hear the key, and I was gonna wonder if your ears picked it up when the elevator did the ding. Is it the severed ding, or it was just the regular one?
So, in my opinion, because I listen very intently, in my opinion, and I don't know if this is just my brain trying to hear something that's not there, but in my opinion, that ding was not like a ding that you hear when you're going to another floor. It sounded like a ding that, like, just imagine like you're in a building on the elevator and like the elevator is going down floors and you hear like ding 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 going down the floors, and then when you exit, the chime is different. That's what it sounded
Mm-hmm.
like to me.
Okay, so is it that's what I'm saying? Is it the severed chime that
No,
switches when they go? Okay, so you think it's something
no.
else. So this may be something
I
totally
think
different, like
it's I think
exiting the
it's
building.
like you said, like preparing to leave the building chime.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, I buy it. I'm with it. I also like to be right, so yes, let's go with that.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's interesting because to get this right after, especially right after like we lose like Irving's like Kenny, like is quite interesting because like it immediately makes my mind go a few different places. Like, all right, like was the scene put here to like throw us off, or is it put there because it is actually a clue to what happened to Irving's Innie and whatnot? Like I don't know, like, and I'm curious to see like how that plays out. But we definitely know the guy going down to the exports floor has to be unsevered. Like I feel like that's the one thing we do know.
I'm not. I'm with it. I buy it. Is it possible? Is it possible that Irving was the guy and then he got severed? That's
Irving
why
was the
he
guy.
knows where the Irving was the exports guy. Like he was the guy that did the whatever, the guy that just transported the
Yeah.
tools. Maybe he was the exports guy. Like he did that
Well,
stuff
I
and then
will
he
say
got severed
this.
later.
I will say this. We know that there's a protocol for like department transfer, and Irving did transfer departments. So we do know that much.
So maybe he was O&D. See, it would make sense for Irving to be O&D because he's an artist.
Hmm.
So maybe he was O&D. Maybe he did but he may have still been severed because that's the severed floor. So
Yeah.
obviously they're severed too. But like you're saying, maybe that person is a supervisor or whatnot. So they're not severed. The person that was transporting the stuff.
So I will say this. He has way too much knowledge about Lumen to not have worked there in a different capacity, in my
You
opinion.
think, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
because it seems like not only does he have a lot of experience with just different departments, it seems like he's also been there for a while.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
because
20 plus years.
the information, yeah, that he had
Yeah.
in his Audi had, it looks like it dated
Hmm.
back, like
Hmm.
way back. So it's like, and plus he's older, which helps.
Hmm.
He's one of the older ones, so it makes it makes it seem like that's what he's doing. I don't know. I'm very interested. I'm more interested in his story at this point than I am anybody else's, except Gemma. I'm
Yeah.
still very interested to see what she got going on.
So let me ask you this, because I have somewhere to go in particular with more so with Irving. Do you want to go to his home going, or do you want to go to Helly first? Let's go. You know what? I answer my own question. I think because I want to bring up this point too while we're on Irving, which is another thing that I think gives us another clue about Lumen, because the banner above Dylan's head when they're saying the quarters. So me being the person I am, I actually did the math. And if you do the math, and if they are indeed on the quarter system, that puts them in year 2085. But if you do the math as if they are working 7-day weeks, then that puts the year roughly around 2022, which makes more sense. So I think what that says is like Lumen lies, we know that, but also like there could be literally the possibility that they don't work 5-day weeks, which I think we know that. Like I think they probably work every single day.
I think they work every day too. Could it also be because I looked at it too, and my thought was quarters, just actual physical quarters. Like he's worked from here to here, and I think when I did the math, it went to like 3 years. So like 30, I think it was like 36 quarters. No, not 36 quarters because that's not 3 years. Yes, it is. Yeah. But like it ended up being like 3 years, and I was like, well, that makes sense because Mark was there 2 years, and PD was there before him. And I'm assuming Irvin maybe was before. So it makes sense. I think that was done to make you try to figure out which one it is. Is it 2028, is it 2022, or is it just the time? Because they like screwing people's minds. I'm glad you went here. I want to talk about the funeral because that'll get us into Mark too. Because we got some stuff to talk about with him.
Oh yeah, definitely.
On the nerves. Yeah. What did you think of the funeral? What did you think of Miss Wong suggesting they shouldn't have the funeral? That's what I want to talk about.
I'm glad you brought the point up because I think so whether it's just a metaphor or it's actually true, like that crazy theory that I brought into like our second recap about, the history of Lumen. Like what we do know for sure is that they see these hennies as property. They do not see them as people. So we know that much for sure. And yeah, so her mentioning that, she was like, yeah, like you need to be careful with that because you're treating them like they're human. So I think that tells us like how they view these innies and the type of relationship they have with them. And yeah, like when you look at it through that lens, it kind of like recontextualizes like everything we've seen so far. And you're like, yeah, that makes sense. They clearly do not respect these people at all.
At all, not even a little.
Well, excuse me. They do not respect these employees. Like they don't even see them as people. So
yeah. I was gonna say there's not even, like you said, not even a bit of human decency because they can't see the human in them. They see them as code, like almost like code. Mm-hmm. Like they are. This is a machine or a robot or an android.
Machine,
yeah, this is an android that's sent here to do what I tell it to do. Mm-hmm. And why are we having any compassion for it whatsoever? Because who cares? She seems to have a grasp on that, well, Milchick doesn't. And I think that may be because Milchick knows both. Mm-hmm. He does know the human and he knows the innie. So he can, I think it would be kind of hard to compartmentalize the two if you know both. If you only know this android, you can say this isn't a person. They don't have a life. They don't have a family. They mean nothing. But Milchick knows Dylan's wife. Milchick knows Dylan's children. He knows Mark's family. He knows something about Irvin. And he knows, of course, Alita, because everybody knows her now. So, yeah, I don't know. She is doing a very good job of being heartless. Mm-hmm. Like she's almost like a machine herself. There's no compassion, I guess. She just cares about herself, and she doesn't care about Milchick either. That's kind of weird. Not weird, but
I was gonna say I think she is like the visual representation of like sitting someone in a particular position because you are taking a baby and you are having them oversee Milchick. The way it goes to me is like Milchick got promoted. She's working on the Milchick, but we know she's actually there to kind of like keep an eye on him, which is like you brought in a 12-year-old to do that though. Like that is
Like
wild.
literally, it's so easy a 12-year-old can do it.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't like it. I just because again, it almost shows what they think of Milchick. I guess I don't know, or maybe they think Milchick can handle it, so they don't really need anybody that's going to put in any real effort. Just throw somebody in there so
Yeah.
she can snitch.
I do think it's funny though. She was about to get down on that therapist, and the Milchick was like, "We done here."
We good, girl. Enough. Like
She was about to get down, but it was like, "No, we're not doing
she
that."
was ready, baby. Let me tune this just right. And he's like, yeah, no, we good.
Nah,
But I practiced. No, you okay?
no, no.
Okay.
Come out here with me. Let's have a talk in the hall. Yeah.
Let's chit chat. Speaking of talks in the hall, did you, when they said during his evaluation, the big words, did you immediately know that it was her? Because my thought was Dylan. I immediately thought, oh, look at Dylan. But I guess they wouldn't take the feedback from the employees.
Yeah.
They just get the coworkers.
I did.
But I thought Dylan
Yeah.
was the one that was like, he uses too many big words, because that seems like something Dylan would say.
Yeah. Also, like, it's funny that immediately after he was like, perchance, if we can speak of this colloquially, like, you just proved their.
Went into exactly what was like, hey, Mr. Loquacious, relax.
Yeah. Relax, man.
Please,
Relax.
dumb it down. There's a 12-year-old in here. And that's when you're like, oh, yeah, it was her talking about the big words, because she's 12.
Yeah. Yeah, she is
12.
12.
And those big words, yeah, it's a little too much for me. I don't get it. The evaluation, I know we'll go back to the funeral, but since we're at the evaluation, the guy, Drummond, he said, Helly said, does father, I should tell father or something. And he said, we've decided not to tell father. Now, was that a father in the greater sense? Or was he literally saying father like that's his father too?
Yeah, I didn't. But you know what? I didn't pick up on that until just
Go
now.
if
Like,
you
because
can.
I remember him saying we decided not to tell father. And I was like, yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
So which to me, like, I guess I was paying more attention to like his position within the organization when he said that, because I was like, oh, he's not like just a driver. Like, he actually has like rank. So, but now that you mentioned that, like, yeah, I didn't realize. Like, I guess I was looking at it from a different way, so I didn't realize he said father too, as if
Because everybody else says Kier or what, but he said we
Mhm.
decided not to tell father. He didn't say your father or we decided not to
Right.
tell
He
Kier. Or,
said father,
well,
yeah.
not Kier. He's not Kier. He's I forgot his name.
Yeah.
Edmund,
James
maybe
Egan.
James
Yeah.
something. Him. Yes, but he said father specifically. And when I'm talking to my brother, I don't say mother. I use I'll say mother, but that's to him. Anybody else, I say my mother or my So I don't know. Maybe it's nothing, but I thought I'm like, wait a minute, because
I don't think it's nothing though. I think
she could possibly not be the only child. We're just assuming, but
yeah.
could be another one. He could be her brother.
Because it could work two ways. Like, it could work like people in like but yeah, it could work like people. Yeah, sorry.
Check.
It could work like people in like just the higher ranks like use father in like the term, like the religious term, that like the religious manner that we've already alluded to, or like, yeah, that could be, I don't know, like my ears are open to that now. I'm gonna look and see like how they do that going forward.
Yeah, because the father, as far as the religious part, could make sense because they are very much treating Helena, like she's
Yeah.
Jesus
Yeah.
at this point. We must
Also,
give him her.
speaking of, because this made me think about that when I mentioned religion. So we know this is a little off topic because like she's only kind of mentioned in this episode and she doesn't appear at all. But Cobell, we know that she basically, yeah, I know you're shocked, right? I'm gonna bring this back around. All right, so if basically Kier, Ian, all that stuff is like kind of viewed as a religion, right? So in real life we have like religious schools, right? And what do they do there? They give you their religion, like on top of like your schooling. Like there's like you go to chapel, you do all these things. We know Harmony Cobell did
Patient
this
mass,
because
all that. Yeah.
we know Harmony Cobell did this because we see like basically all the stuff on like her her like alter her mental or whatever. We see all that stuff. So I think our simplest answer for Miss Wong is that she is being groomed to be the next Cobell.
Mm-hmm. Or
Like,
the next
and I think,
something. Yeah.
and I think and I think like we kind of shouldn't like overthink this because she does come in almost in like a schoolgirl outfit too. So I think
Mm-hmm.
like the logical answer is like, yeah, like she is taking the path of the next Miss Cobell because I feel like Miss Cobell probably started there like really young too, and then
And then working right under Milchick. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. 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 I see it. Wow. I hadn't even thought about it being a school because, I mean, and I'll say it Catholic school because I went there. That's exactly how it went. Like you went and you did
mhm,
your education, but you had a whole separate curriculum for the religious part of
mhm.
it. So she could be. That
Yeah,
makes sense.
yeah, and I think that's like the simplest answer we got for that. Yeah.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. And also why Cobell would be so bitter and angry and have thoughts about Helly because, of course she said, I earned where
Hmm.
my position. It
Right.
wasn't just given to me. So yeah, if you've
Right.
been doing this since you were 12, I could see why
Hmm.
you're like, nah, I'm gonna see this through. I have to.
Yeah.
But it appears that that's not going to be the case. They seem like the way the evaluation went, they seem that they got your boy locked in. Like, this is what you're going to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
You're
Because
going to be here for Cold
uh,
Harbor. So get it together.
yeah, because they were like, yeah, this is like gonna be like your legacy, and obviously, like you've screwed up on several different occasions, but we still like see something in you, and you can do this.
And he said immediately, I'll tighten the reins, which I did not like
Hmm.
because it gave Overseer.
Hmm.
100%
Like,
gave Overseer. And I don't like that.
look. This episode made me think about this. Like, obviously the team that's doing the writing, like even though they took it there with like by including race, I still don't think they would see it out loud. But when I saw this episode, that's immediately what came to my mind. Like, oh, Milchick is like kind of like a self-hating overseer.
He is. And he sees it too. Like they're fairly confident they want us to see it because why else would they keep having him interact with Natalie?
Natalie, yeah.
Because he did it again. He's like, so when you got those portraits, what was your thought? Were your thoughts like my thoughts? Did we share
Hmm.
thoughts? Were we there? And she's just kind of like,
Mm,
no, I
yeah,
didn't think anything of it at all. But of course, her face and her eyes and her confusion are leading more towards, yeah, I ain't like that either. But
hmm,
here we are, and look where we are, and look at what position we're in. So let's not rock the boat. Go get your whips, for lack of better words, and get the people in line.
yeah.
And I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Because he was like that even before. Even when Cobell was in her position of power, when she was the
Hmm.
floor supervisor, he was still the enforcer.
Yeah,
So he's still and I hate saying this, but that's what it's giving. He's still the overseer. He's just got another title now
yeah.
because she's not there. So he's just got free reign to do whatever. He just can't beat them, I guess, like he used to.
Mm. Cause yeah, like now to like
Sorry,
loop this
punish them.
back around to like the funeral, I want to jump back in like front of the funeral because like when Dylan was questioning Milchick, like he kind of gave that look like we don't have conversations here. He was like that look he gave was like there's no question and answer here.
It
So
was
yeah,
very
I
much like,
yeah, it's
hey,
like hey, like you should stop talking.
enough, enough. Like Helly did. Well, like sorry, like Helena did. The Irving. Okay, yeah. So it was. I was a little surprised that he gave in, but I think he knows at this point that they don't back down anymore,
Yeah,
and he can't
and I
do
think
his usual. Okay, let's go to the break room.
I think it's that. And while administration might think he's like getting soft, I think he sees like this team has been like radicalized and you kind of have to give in to them a
Hmm.
bit because like otherwise like they just simply won't do it. And like yeah, if you want to get Cold Harbor done, because we see Cold Harbor is like very important to them, important and mysterious. But if you want to get Cold Harbor done, then like yeah, you have to like kind of like toss them some scraps every now and then. So like yeah, doing this little funeral, like hey, if that gets them back on Cold Harbor, then why not?
Let's do it. Do you think also, and maybe they can't, I won't say can't, they're reluctant to replace Milchick because of that too? Like, hey, they are pushing, but Milchick at least has some control, some
Yeah.
authority. If you bring in somebody else, there's gonna be like, I don't know you, and what are you doing here? We pushed out two already. Bring it.
Look, we know enough about Milchick to know like when they have been insubordinate in the past, he's had to put some work in. So I think that's why they keep him in this capacity because it's
Do
gonna
you
get
ever
there
want a
again.
marshmallow again? Do you want
Yes.
marshmallow? Do you know what a marshmallow is? Do you want to remember what a marshmallow is? Don't play with me. Yeah, I think too. Yeah, he's got the right amount of menacing and the right
Yeah.
amount of compassion. It's the smile. I'm
Uh,
telling you, like he's doing a magnificent job, man. Because it's scary enough for you to know, like, okay, all right, that was
mhm,
the line. Let me back off a little
mhm.
bit. Like I got a little bit more. He hadn't done it yet. Let me push. Okay, all right, that was it. That was it. Let me chill. But he's doing a good job. It's almost again like so I won't have to keep saying over. It's like they're almost like his children, and they're just rebelling. They're in that teenage stage where they're smelling themselves, and they realize there's only so much you can do. So I'm gonna push you to that point, and then okay, I gotta chill. So that's where they
Also,
are
let
now.
me give Tremel Tillman his props here because a lot of people are like pointing out that he mispronounced the Swedish word. But I looked up an interview that he did, and he was like, Milchick is showing you enough that he's a guy who would know how to pronounce that correctly. So like basically ask yourself why he would mispronounce that.
Yeah.
So just and that's something that like wasn't even on the page. That was like a call he made for the character. He was like, obviously, like in this situation, like, you know, outside information doesn't come in. So that's why as something as simple as pronouncing a Swedish word correctly, like we still can't do that. So yeah, that's
Hmm.
just a great additional layer to like add to that character. So yeah, I just wanted to point that out too because yeah, stuff like that really makes the character like doing things like that, like stuff that isn't even like in the script, but like that's just how you read the character. Yeah. Like of course he knows how to say this, but he's going to mispronounce it in front of these severed employees.
To remind himself, I guess, on occasion that they don't know any better because
Mhm.
somebody else may have
They
corrected him.
they they do not need to know. Yeah, they don't need to know anything about the outside world. Yeah.
I could have said anything. I could have said Blankenschlock, and they would have been like,
Yeah. Yeah,
okay,
they were like, all right.
sure. That's the word for undercover boss. Cool. Got it.
Yes.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
I didn't like that. I know what he was trying to do, of course,
Hmm.
um, with the whole undercover boss thing. Because that's what it was. They were saying pretty much, hey, we
Yeah.
just sometimes like to get in there and see what it's like and
Mm.
go see how y'all. No, that's not what y'all were doing.
But
And
you
they're
just
not
so
that
happen to do
stupid.
that after her any, exposed herself to the world. That's when you decide to do it. Okay.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm surprised they haven't questioned her being fake the whole time.
Hmm.
That was surprising to me that they didn't say, well, how do we know she was even ever in any? But Irving paid enough attention to know that there was a difference. And speaking of that, I had my husband was watching it too, and he was like, well, do you think, because I guess everybody was trying to figure out why Mark was being a dick. And he said, well, do you think he's embarrassed? I was like, I hadn't even thought of that part. He's like, yeah, I think he's embarrassed that he didn't know the difference
He's
in the two.
embarrassed, but I also got a bit of a different take. But before I go there, I want to ask because this was apparently this was a big debate on the interwebs, which I don't think is much of a debate at all. Like, do you think that's actually Helly or do you think that's Helena? Because I think
No,
it's
I think that's
obviously
Helly.
Helly R again. Yeah,
I
it's
thought they made it.
obviously.
They
Yeah,
made it clear that it was her. Like I thought
yeah.
that was the whole point of them pushing the fact that she even wanted to go back, and they were like, nah, nah. And I think we too have established that she's not that good.
Mm. Right.
Like she's good. She's just not that good. She can't be
He was
Helly
like,
R.
she's no, no, she's not.
No, yeah, she
He's like,
can't
nah.
be Helly R because she's tried. And her real concern about Gemma, because she
Hmm.
was just like, what you mean you're white? What? The real
Yeah.
concern, the real confusion about why Mark was acting like that. The hurt you could see when he couldn't tell. Because when she asked, you couldn't tell that wasn't me? Like, that's her. That's Helly R 100%. And if it's
Yeah,
not, then
because
I feel like that's a cheat.
yeah, think about how heartbroken she is because the last time she saw Mark, they kissed, and then all of a sudden now,
Dang.
like he's acting like that to her. Which, let me circle back around. So, I want to ask you a question too. Like, do you think Mark's reaction would have been the same if he didn't start the reintegration process? Because I'm going somewhere with this.
Would it have been the same knowing that she was faking it? That's what you're saying?
So
Would his
when
reaction to her be the same?
so yeah, like the next time that he saw Helly or Helena or whatever, if he had not have started that reintegration process, would his behavior and reaction would have been the same this episode?
Hmm.
Because I asked that. Because
think I think it's more maybe two things. I think
hmm
it's the sex and the reintegration.
hmm
So I'm not sure if his reaction, if they didn't have sex and he didn't see Gemma,
hmm
then maybe not. But I think the fact that he had sex with her, then saw Gemma, and then remembered what he's supposed to be doing in there, and then on top of that, realized that not only did he not have sex with Helly, he had sex with a freaking Egan. I think that's what took him over.
hmm
So I think it's a combination of all of it, maybe.
I say that to say this because and this was back when like season 1 was like being broken down, and someone like basically like transcribed the passages in Rickon's book, and there's a part where he uses some pseudonyms to describe like people that are clearly Mark and Gemma, and he was like, this guy would drink and yell at his wife. She would walk out the room. He would walk out behind her. Everyone would all laugh when he was around. So I say that to say, like, I think a little bit of the personality we got here was like
Mm.
Mark's real personality. And his personality, not only that, but his personality when he's in a relationship, if you get where I'm
Sad
going.
Mark.
Not
Yeah,
even sad
sad
Mark,
Mark. Like
kind
out
of like angry, like almost like angry Mark, like
like Outie
asshole
Mark.
Mark.
The
Yeah,
one that
yeah,
Milchick was
hmm
like, he's not
yeah,
like this.
yeah,
He's not
yeah,
your Annie's nothing like this. That's I like it. I like it because he was big. I want to say though, I get it. Like I don't want people to think I'm saying, well, he had no reason to act like that. I understand why he
no,
was
I'm not saying that at
hurt.
all.
Like
But
he was bamboozled. He was
yeah,
taken
he was led
advantage of.
astray. Yes,
Like all of that.
he
He
was
was
very much led
legit
astray.
taken
He was
advantage
running
of.
amok. Yeah.
Like emotionally, physically, all literally all of that. She like stripped him literally naked and took advantage of him. So I get why he's hurt, but I don't get the Irving part of it. So that's the part that was like, okay, he's taking it beyond him being upset about this. It's almost like a control thing. Like they know everything, they do everything. Nothing that I do matters, and I'll just do whatever they want me to do, which is typically what people who are angry do. Well, you didn't like the way I do it, so I just do it your way. Like, no, I didn't say that. I just said, turn the light off before you go to sleep. Like, relax. I didn't say cut the power to the house. And that's how he does. He just jumps from one thing to another. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense actually. Because he's actually you're saying he's pretty much becoming the one, the one
Yeah,
person.
I feel like
Yeah.
there are all right because you know how I previously mentioned that I feel like no matter how hard you try, like some of like your Audi's personality comes in through your Annie. Well, of course, if he started the reintegration process, and we know he's not all the way there yet, I think even more of his true personality would come in as his Annie because we do know that's Annie Mark, like we know that, but I think more of that outside personality will start to come in because I think, you know, the disappointment, the sadness, the skepticism would have been there, but I don't think it would have presented itself in that way if that was truly, you know, if he didn't start the reintegration process. I feel like that's a little bit of those outside personality quirks coming inside.
Which, and he may even be confused about why he's acting like that.
Yeah.
Like this is almost like depression
Hmm.
for any Mark. He's depressed now. He doesn't know why. He also can't control his reaction to how he's feeling, and that's
Yeah.
because, like you said, the sad boy sneaking in, or mad boy, or whatever we want to call him, because the Audis think, oh, I bet you that's tough. It can't be easy. You're just this happy-go-lucky person that's just accepted this is how your life is on the inside, and now that's totally changing
Right.
because you're getting another personality.
Yeah.
Not only are you
Which,
not, you're not getting another personality, you're turning into another person.
yeah, which is exactly what I want to stick with, which is so we know enough to know that reintegration isn't just a one time thing, it's like something continuous. And I think we know for sure that PD definitely wasn't following his regimen because we see Mark grab something out of the fridge. And I have no idea what the hell it is. I just know it looks disgusting. And he's like attempting to like drink it. So he's at least trying, like, you know, he's at least trying to like follow the regimen. But because he asked Regavi like when are we gonna go again? And she was like, she said something to the effect like yeah, like we gotta have questions to ask and we can't just, you know. So he's at least trying to follow the regimen. So but I didn't think, basically I say that to say I didn't think it would be like this long of a process. I really, like, they had us believing in the beginning like they just go in, like turn the chip off and like it's done. But we see it's like actual, like a really like a reintegration process. Like we have to like slowly reintegrate you and get you reacclimated into the real world. So it's not like just a thing like that.
Yeah, I'm with you because I thought that was it, which is another reason why I would say you were nervous because you were like, I didn't know they were going to do it this soon. But
Hmm.
if this is a
Yeah.
long game, then it works. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
it
I'm
works now.
like, well,
I
now
see
we
where
just
they're
got
going
Mark
now.
now. Yeah, it's just Mark. So
Yeah.
now what do we go? But we don't have Mark. We've
Yeah.
got
No.
pieces
Hmm.
of Mark. Do you think he's going? How is seeing Gemma? Because he saw her. What's that
Hmm.
going to do now? Is that going to give him more vigor? Like he's going to put him on a
Hmm.
path to push Regabi, or like how is that going to work? Because his
So I,
patience, I don't know how that's
yeah.
going to work now that he's seen her.
So I will say first, I really like how they did that because when they were having conversations, Mark was like, I don't remember anything. And then she was like, well, maybe your Audi will remember something. And then that's when the kind of like blurred lines were starting to happen. And like as he was mentally going through a wellness session, that's when he faced Gemma. So his Audi got to see Gemma because his innie was reflecting on a wellness session. So to your to your point, and to your question, hopefully that kind of like reinvigorates him to like, I guess,
Trust her.
it, yeah, to like get the team back together and try to, because we, and I know it's not gonna happen that soon, but like I think Helena was like, "Let's go find your wife," because she was kind of like trying to keep close eye on him. But I really think Heliar is like, "No, like, dude, like let's find your wife, let's do it." So hopefully that kind of like makes Mark like kind of like get the team back together because yeah, they're really fractured now. Because don't forget that
Big
Mill
time.
chick pointed out like Dylan, you might lose special privileges. So they're all
Mm-hmm.
looking at like what special privileges. So yeah, the team is fractured now. So hopefully that kind of like reinvigorates him to like be the leader of that department again. And like, yeah, while they're working on Cold Harbor, they can also concoct some plans to kind of like get in there and see what's going on.
Because he was working, wasn't he? He was kind of going into it, and then he just stopped. And then that's when Milchick was like, "I see you left 6 minutes early." I'm like,
Hmm. Hmm.
because he said he was going to tighten the reins. Now, does this mean they're going to take like the hall passes and all that good stuff away again? Because I don't think that's smart.
So, all right,
That
I
would be a
because
bad idea.
I asked myself that too because I was like, all right, so this could go a number of ways. It could show that they were bullshitting about the, what am I trying to say? The reform program, that they had for the Annies after the incident. They could show they were bullshitting about that. Or once again, they might just have to say, like, let's toss them some scrouts, but keep closer control on them. I mean, keep a watchful eye on them, but at the same time, give them the illusion they still have freedom. So yeah, like, I'm curious to see where that goes, because like, yeah, like, but I'm kind of leaning with the other one, like yeah, like, surely they don't give them like hall passes back, but at the same time, they will immediately show that they were bullshitting about the NA reform program, which could also have like adverse effects. So who knows?
I want to point out your crossing the line thing again, because like you said, that was like, it was perfect, because not only like they showed a line, there was a literal line, and then there were two shades of gray, right? So two shades of gray, and then kind of like this right here. So Milchick's here and Mark's here, and when Mark was like, hey, did you talk about, and his is him pushing the line, did you talk about that article you gave, or was that just more bullshit? And that was him pushing. He crossed the line. And when he did, Milchick, like you said, literally crossed and was like, did you tell Helly what y'all did? Did you mention that? So it's just like we've been saying before. You push and you push and you push, and then there's a point where it's like, okay, you crossed the line, so let me cut that shit right now. And that's what he did. So I'm wondering if Mark got the point and will be like, okay, I know not to say that again. Or
But yeah, it reminded me of 40-year-old version, when Romney Malco was talking with Kevin Hart, like, oh, you thought I was that kind of, yeah. So he had to like put him in his place because of that comment, and yeah, he used very clear language. He did not use big words when he said that to Mark.
you're a little slow, but he got it now.
He got
Yeah,
it
that's
now. He got
exactly
it
how
now.
it was. That's exactly how it was. So what's it going to take for Dylan? Is it going to be like, well, it seemed like Dylan kind of got shut down with the whole threat of certain privileges being
Oh
revoked.
yeah,
So that may be
that put
enough.
him in place. Yeah, I think that put him in place, but at the same time, like, I still think he wants to like honor Irving's legacy, so he's definitely gonna see where that goes with the, what am I trying to say? With the note that he found, like the little drawing with the note on the back. Yeah.
I think he's going to, yeah, I think he feels guilty enough about Irving that he'll do something. That he's going to, like, I don't think I'm not sure. Well, I guess we'll get to see which one trumps. Is it going to be his wife or Irving? Which one matters the most to him? Because he's going to have to pick, it seems,
I,
at this
I guess
point.
I guess we'll see how his next conjugal visit goes. Yeah.
Speaking of spouses, Bert and Fields, what are we going to do about that there? How's that going to work? We going to get a throuple?
Yeah. I was gonna say, you want to talk about a throuple. He was like, come over and have some ham with us.
Have
Yeah.
some ham. Me and he was like, and you and me. He was like, and Fields. It was almost like, I just told
Yeah.
you,
I just told you.
and Fields. Like, what are you doing? So I think I like mostly that we do know that there is an innie and an outie, but these people still have good sense, because that took logic for Bert to put that together, right?
Mhm.
Like, hey, this person shows up at my door and then he doesn't remember, or he looks a little confused, because I'm sure Irving probably cleaned it up. Like, Irving had to know that it was his innie. So he probably gave some excuse, or he just left. Do you think he just ran away? I don't know. Because
Yeah,
he played it like because he didn't really tell them what happened when he was outside. He
right.
just said he was at home or something like that. So I'm wondering what actually happened when Bert came to the door. Did he just get in his car and go home? Did he say, "Hey, I'm sorry, I'm at the wrong door"? What? Because I mean, I don't know how you explain that when you screaming his name.
Yeah, I just
Or
picture him
wonder
like
what
turning around and running back to his car, because yeah, he played it off and we knew that he knew, but Irvin played it off like when Bert was telling him that, he was like, I didn't do that, and then he was like, yeah, because he said you worked at Lumen, right? Well, I just got let go, a few weeks ago, so maybe we should talk this out.
Man, I got let go, and they said I was, romancing with somebody, and now I'm looking at you,
Mm.
you know what I'm saying, and you look like my type. He saw that hair and was like, oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
this is me, right? If I was gonna have an inner office romance, this would be with who I would choose. So yeah,
yeah.
They keep feeling some things like, yes, please come eat some
I
ham
think so. Yeah.
with me and
Yeah. Come
Fields.
eat some ham.
Come eat
Yeah.
some,
And have some wine. Yeah.
have some ham. We'll see how Fields feels about it, but I know how I feel. The ham might have a pineapple or two on it too. So come on,
Hey.
come on up. Come on over. Do we see Harmony again next episode?
I think
You
so.
think?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because Patricia Arquette has been in like way too many promos for her to like just not
Just disappear.
be heavily involved. So yeah, I think maybe like the latter half of the season, like she might have like a heavier involvement in this show.
Do we see more interactions with Natalie and Seth, Mr. Milkshake?
I don't know because I kind of feel like maybe she might try to set a boundary, like hey,
I
stop,
think she
stop,
will too. Because
stop
again,
trying to.
I don't think it's by mistake that she's also a light skinned black woman.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So it kind of, going back to the symbolism, house and
yeah,
field, it
yeah,
could very much be like a hey, I
yeah,
am good. I know you got
yeah,
stuff going. I'm good.
yeah.
Let's stay good and let's not make it anymore. And then just reading more into it, of course they have this black woman as the face of the board, right? Like they don't speak for themselves, they speak through her, and she has to make these decisions and look like the bad guy when it's information coming through her. It's cool the way they're doing it. I don't like it
Yeah.
for what
I
it
don't like it, but
represents,
yeah.
but I like the fact that they're putting it in there. Like they're not ignoring it. Did we miss anything? Let me think. The
Maybe
the picture. What do you think about? Did you say what you thought about the dental tools, or did it mean anything to you? What are you thinking?
that just made me say like possibly there's a connection to Gemma some way
Okay,
because the only way they could identify her was the dental records, and those are very clearly dental tools. As someone who just went to the dentist office this past week, those are very clearly dental tools.
they are
Yes,
very well. Very well. I know what we didn't mention. Oh yeah, look what you say. What you say made you think about it today. Ooh, look what money make a
and
bitch
the money
do.
maker.
Ricken. Now, when I heard the bedtime story
Mm-hmm,
that Milkshake was reading to them about Dieter and Kier, my thought was kind of like, dang, Ricken could have written this. It sounds the
mm-hmm,
style is the same. And maybe that's what attracted them to him. But I am happy that we have Devin because she's
mm-hmm.
very supportive. She knows where to push, but she is
Yeah,
making it very clear like, hey, you looking a little funny in the light, changing this stuff up. Like this
because
isn't
hey,
you.
look, we all got to put food on our table. I understand that,
Yeah.
but at the risk of your dignity, your ethics, your because prior to this, you were just saying how how this is a terrible company, Severance is such a terrible thing, but now all of a sudden, like, oh yeah, I could be, and
Be
yeah, the
the man
passage
of the
that he
people.
read wasn't even anything related to. Once again, he mentioned clocks. He mentioned clocks though, but yeah, the passage that he read out wasn't even like anything remotely close to like his. I mean, albeit terrible manifesto, but it wasn't anything close to his original manifesto. So yeah, like complete sellout.
Complete sellout, especially when you hear somebody say and you found out that it was the any saying this book changed my life. And you're taking that from somebody that said this changed my life and any saying this changed my life to making the opposite of what you wrote. You should like something should be like what's not clicking, Ricken. And I'm sure they're willing to pay him handsomely because he was immediately like, hey,
Hmm.
but that money though, Devin, like
Hmm.
this is the money though. So I don't know. I was disappointed in him. I will say
And
that.
then you got the nerve to kind of like gnarl up at Devin, like, well, you want us to have money, don't you? Like, I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah, not at the expense of my brother. Did you forget he
yeah,
was my brother? Like, have you not put that together? Like, did your brain
yeah,
squish that part out and say, hey, not only is this a severed person, this is my brother that we're talking about
yeah.
who's in there? A person that was really freaked out when I talked to him. And I think maybe that's a part of it too, because Devin got to have an actual conversation and sit down and talk to him, to any Mark. So I think she's got a, well, of course, she has more insight to who he is And no other person got that for real, but she got it. So maybe that's why, and it's her brother. But Rick and I don't know. That's just that I didn't like it. I shouldn't have been surprised because we've said
No.
before he really likes the attention. He wants to be important.
He's a
and
bit of a
mysterious.
hack. Yeah.
Yeah, he wants to be mysterious and important. So this might work out for him. But yeah, that was the last thing I was thinking about him. Cause I'm like, I don't know. You didn't feel bad for Helena at all. Not a little. When they were like, when she was like, I'll fake it again, and they were like, no,
So
he
I
wants
can
her,
have,
so you go.
I can have, I can understand someone's circumstances without, feeling sorry for them.
What you
And
said? That's what she did. She consider not being born in Egan?
yeah, I jokingly said that in our group chat. I was like, yeah, like, did she consider just not being born to Egan? Like, that was a choice too. But no,
I
seriously,
was
but
simply
what was
not
a
being
choice?
Egan.
What was a choice is like getting entangled in the family business, which is not so great in the first place. Because going back to, because yeah, I'll leave you with this, a perfect like allegory. Because when we discovered that one of our, you know, U.S. presidents, sitting U.S. presidents, was a slave owner, people would say like, "Well, that was just a family business. He was gifted with those. Like, can you blame him?" Like, yes, I can blame you for owning human life. So, with that being said, like, while these particular set of circumstances aren't so great, that they're like she's essentially a pawn in all of this, and they're kind of like using her too. Like, you wouldn't have been in this position if you didn't get entangled in the not so great family business.
And she pushed it too, um, twice. So she pushed it the first time when she had sex with Mark. Because
Hmm.
again, and I regret not saying this the first time because my focus was so much on the fact that she manipulated Mark, but she also used Helly, right? So this is Helena's body. We get that. This is you, you're in there. But when you're pretending to be Helly R, you're
Hmm.
at this point using her body
Hmm.
to have sex with Mark. So like you chose to do that. You could have not had sex with Mark. Like that is a choice you made. That's something you
Yeah.
wanted to do. You went forward, you actively participated because if at any point you said, "Hey, maybe we shouldn't do this." He would have been like, "Okay. Like that's all right, cool. We just won't do it." But you wanted to do it and you did it knowing that's where it was going to go and pushing it to that too because she was flirting with him heavy, like we know this.
Hmm.
So that's one. And then two, she volunteered to fake it again. She could have just
Hmm.
been like, well, I'm just not gonna go back in there at all. Like, we got to figure out a way. We got to tell him he can't have her. Something's got to give. But she's just like, okay, well, I'll just fake it because she wants to go in there.
Hmm.
She wants to be in there, and it's because she doesn't like, again, who she is. She doesn't, because when she said that to Mark, I honestly believe she meant that.
Also,
She don't like who she is.
she said they're fucking animals. So
She did that. She said that too. She did. She did. I forgot about that. He tried to drown me. They're fucking her. She sure did. To hell with her. I'm with you.
yeah,
To
I'm
hell
just
with
saying.
her. So
I'm just saying.
how do we reckon or deal with the two of them then? How do we love and respect Helly R and hate who she really is? Because hate is a strong word that I can abide. Like
Mhm.
I'm cool with hating
So
Helena
to
Egan.
answer that, you must ask the question, like, yeah, all right. So I strongly believe that no matter how hard you try, some of your outies personality will get in your innies, your innie. But to answer that question, you must answer the question: do you think innies are truly people, or do you think they're just kind of like basically like the carrier and the host is the outie, and the innie is just like almost like parasitic, almost like they're not even human? Like, do you think innies are human?
At this point, I'm almost thinking that the Audi is the parasite. Like that's where I'm at with it. Because for some, I think there is a possibility that it could be both. Like
Hmm.
there is Irvin seems to be the person that's mostly even. Like he is
Yeah,
Irving
yeah.
inside and out. And there are some people who don't code switch, right? Because this is kind of what we're the grand scheme is code switching. Irving is Irving inside and out. He seems more gentle inside, but I haven't seen him outside, right? But he seems like the person that's kind of like there. I've met people that are just who they are all the time, and that seems like him. Mark could stand to have a bit of his innie bleed into his life, and Helly could just swap. Like she should be, because I honestly think that's the real person. Helly's innie, I think, is the real person, and the outie is the parasite. And they just, and now that's I don't know how we rectify that. Like, can we switch them? Can she take the mask off? It's kind of like like they say, like Superman and Clark Kent. Like Clark is the costume.
Yeah,
that's them. Helly's her costume.
But
Helena is her costume.
To I guess to provide my philosophy on it. So totally different personality. They were basically birthed into a world that they do not recognize. Totally different personality. There is a physical body. It's not like the innies are just like an avatar on a screen and their consciousness is being projected. So because they are a living, walking person, like you have to treat innies like they're people too.
Living,
So to answer your question, Helena and Helly are two different people. And once again, we saw like the birth of Helly and who she is. And Helly is a very, she like she like she doesn't take shit, but she also is like was like very loyal from day one, very like kind. So yeah, like I feel like that's how we can compartmentalize this and say like, okay, like we're cool with Helly, but Helena not so much. Even though it's weird that they inhabit the same body, but I really truly believe they're two different people. So
they even inhabit the same mind, which is even more crazy because this is getting into the whole nature versus nurture too. Like nobody is born really anything. You are who you are, and you frame your life based off your experiences or whatever else. So Helena really didn't have a choice but to be either, I guess, an Egan or an outcast. So she chose Egan, and the innie is the outcast, and it looks like that's who she should have chose. She's a much better person.
Yeah.
I don't know. We get more Gemma next episode, or
I think we will have to. I think we will have to. Yeah.
I think we got to keep getting her. All right. How many episodes of this
just
season?
like
Is it
little
only
bits.
10?
Yeah,
So
I think it's 10.
More?
Yeah, I think it's 10 for this season. Yeah.
Oh gosh, it's going by so fast.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Well, all right then.
But yeah, that will conclude this recap. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Joe will likely be back next week. I might not. Who knows? But yeah, if I'm back, I'm back. If I'm not, then you have me. You have Joe. That's kind of why we wanted to bring him in so he can kind of like take the reins and continue on. Joe is very great and insightful as well. Film buff like myself. So and D. D is always I joke a lot, but D is a great co-host as well. So, but yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Let us know what you think, what you've been picking up on, and until next time.
Peace.